That's a good place to start.
I'm all kinds of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're looking good, so that's a good thing. I'm feeling a bit puffy-eyed this morning. So, and I'm not going to drink coffee because that, much as I like it, I actually think it's a very good medicinal herb, but there's certain situations where probably, you don't, not required. Much as I'd like one, that would probably wake me up a bit more.
Yes. I actually took back coffee. I'm drinking it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't drink it for 25 years. And then, then I started to drink it with deep respect. And I only drink one coffee in the morning. I don't have to have it every day.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to have it every day. I mean, I probably wouldn't if I would be okay with just being sort of comatose for as long as it takes. But I have very low energy.
There's cold showers and other things.
True. I just, you're right. I haven't considered that.
Yeah. Well, I'm being funny, really. But there are cold showers.
How do I approach it? Going off coffee. It's a you have to look beyond the coffee.
Well, you don't have to go off coffee. It's like at the moment I've been having this overstimulated system through the 6 years.
Oh, right. You were saying that, yeah.
It's like it's a stimulant. So I'm going, okay, maybe chamomile tea,
Right. Or even green tea, but green tea is still stimulate, right?
Yes, I like green tea, but it's also a stimulant too. Right.
Well, I grew up with coffee in my bottle. My grandmother would always put coffee and brandy and milk to make us sleep.
Okay, so the brandy and milk is a good nighttime thing, yeah?
She used to that was her way of like, knocking us out in the afternoon so she could have
it. Babysitting techniques 101.
And she was Italian, so the coffee was really, part of the smell of my youth.
Yeah, mine too. My grandmother was half Italian and half Palestinian, and she was big. She was only about 4.5 feet tall, but she was big. And they used to make this Turkish coffee, where the spoon could stand up in the pot. You have the tiny little cups, and she would read your coffee cup.
Oh, how neat!
Yeah, and it was kind of neat. I started reading coffee cups for fun. I just make it up. Well, I just tune in and say whatever comes out and whatever I imagine in the picture in the thing, and it's usually dead on. It's like, I don't know, I have that skill, but it's a party joke. Anyway, I'm recording this so everybody else is enjoying this conversation.
Oh, okay. I was kind of hoping I wasn't aware of that little blinking light. Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all part of the fun, but yeah, we have to arrive, so this is, I'm just feeling a bit dopey, but I'm sure it'll pass when I tune in. So we're going to do some reflection technique thing together, and you said, I remember from the Saturday call that you just been doing sovereignty and, paying attention to what's there, and that was having results for you. So you hadn't really done too much around reflection technique. So I'm just wondering if you had something in mind to work with, or if we, just go in and do a sort of segue to reflection technique from whatever's arising.
Yeah, and what's arising right now is I have stomach ache, which is have a lot, and it has to do with, being nervous and.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And is it the group or being videoed that's making you nervous?
Session.
Okay, so we could do reflection technique on the group, which is what was a completely different issue with Cecilia, but we did reflection technique on the group, and that's a really great thing for everybody to do, actually.
I wasn't thinking in terms of the group.
Okay.
More in terms of revealing myself, you know.
Right. Being seen, would that be not
probably.
being invisible?
It's a feeling of inadequacy, you know, a feeling I'm not going to do this right.
Right.
Holding on, tensing up.
Okay.
I do it a lot in social situations.
Okay, so all right, well, we can just say, can we just say being seen in social situations?
Sure. I mean, I was thinking of it more as just stomach pain.
Yeah, but I'm looking for the other end of the string.
Okay. Yes.
The result is the stomach pain and the nerves, but the object that's creating that, you are separate from.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Relationship with, yeah. So the object of that is being seen in social situations. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a discernment just in knowing that that's the cause for you. Anyway, and that's present right now, so it's pretty easy to to deal with. We don't have to look for it. It's right here, right now. So, okay, so let's just become aware of the field and come into a nice alignment with, you know, this sort of friendly scientist on a journey of exploration. So just with this quality of openness and allowing and a wanting to connect with whatever's here. So establishing that connection by grounding into the felt sense of the whole body, allowing whatever's happening in your tummy and anywhere else. So I also find that, you know, when you're grounding in, it's kind of we're not leaving the dynamics of the moment and the, you know, the triggers of what's happening now, but we're also wanting to include the original cause. So, you know, when we're seeping in, it's like there's this curiosity, which is natural, that's wanting to reach in and through all of time. And, you know, it's kind of like I'm here for me through all of time. And then also what's important is that whatever is in your bubble is claimed and owned. It's like, this is me, this is mine. So are you feeling connected?
Yeah.
And what are you noticing?
I'm a little more relaxed in my gut.
Great. Okay, so already the connection has its magic because there's something that was separate that was, you know, unnoticed, let's say, and is now less separate. So when you allow the sensation in your gut, can you do that without leaving the wholeness of your field. It's kind of like all of me is here with my gut, so that there's a spaciousness around the gut. Like you can make your field as big as feels easy and natural, but there's a quality of inclusion, part of a bigger field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And does that change the experience of your belly?
Makes it a little bit more not so consuming. You know, I can move away from it a little bit, but still.
Yeah. So great. So that the clue there was I can move away from it a little bit. So can you sense the I that moved away when you expanded? It's like what you're actually doing is changing your field of perception. You're changing how you perceive. You're changing, instead of the intensity of the me that's separate looking at the belly, you become the wholeness of me, including the belly. So it's incredibly different relationship. Yeah. So while you're in that wholeness of me with your belly, can you sense the I that's in relationship to it? Just the feeling, the vibe that's in here. Can you discern that unique signature of Marianne in relation to this nervousness in your belly? And while you're doing that, and while you're sensing into her, like trying to discern, not trying, but discerning her uniqueness, the flavor of Marianne that's here right now. What is it?
Like an intensity in behind my eyes.
Okay, great. So while you're doing that, feeling the intensity at the eyes, make that part of the bubble. So it's also inclusive. The wholeness is here, the belly's here, the eyes are here. And make sure that you're also sensing the I, like the quest or the curiosity is this engagement with sensing the I, and particularly, make sure you're inhabiting the back of your body.
By the I, do you mean the observer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you said you felt tension in your eyes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Great. So there's a lot in your eyes. That's why they're tense. There's like something, sometimes I don't like what I'm seeing is part of this tension in the eyes. The response to the belly is tension in the eyes. And the tension in the eyes is probably stressing out the belly. There's a relativistic thing going on between all that's in your field. So we're actually, exploring relativity at the same time we're exploring unity. That's the Trinity. Relativity is always two-ness, and the Trinity includes stillness. So we haven't quite got there yet. We have to do diligence to what's here. So the other element is the trigger, and it's valuable to put the trigger in the exploration so that we can see the relationship with the trigger changing, because the trigger is the social being seen, by, and just make a bubble of whatever's seeing you. Yeah. Make the bubble, the social situation, or, it can be a conglomerate of social situations from my life. Just there's a vibration of what's outside you that is the social situation. Yeah. So I want to invite you to feel a kind of a bigger spacious field, and notice experientially where in relationship to your body do you feel this, just trust the process. Doesn't make any logical sense, but just there's something outside that's triggering this inside experience. And it might be behind me, around me completely.
Like encasing me.
Okay, so it's surrounding me. Is it behind you as well as?
Yeah, more,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't, my awareness in the back is not as much, but yeah, I see it as an encasement, you know.
Right, great. And can you feel the vibration of that outside energy that's encasing you?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And feel it's the space that it occupies. Like, give it some time. How thick is it? You know, how far out does it go? And does it touch my skin? Is it just in the front and the sides? Is it above my head and below my feet? Is it behind me? Just really explore without needing to know, just feeling the qualities of the vibratory field that's encasing you. That's the social situation that you're in, surrounded by. And while you're doing that, if it's available to you, you know, you want to be sort of tracking the sensation of the eyes, the sensation of the belly, and the rest of the body. So you got all these kind of different sensations, and they're all in separation from each other. There's spaces between them, and there's relationships between them.
I feel like I'm in the womb.
Okay. Yeah, I get a yes on that. So yeah, so so now you've gone through time to the origin to closer to the origin of this. Yeah. So feel the presence of your mother's energy all around your body. And feel yourself as the fetus in the womb.
I want to curl up.
You can do that if you want to. So feel yourself as that little fetus in the little fetus body inside the womb. And, you know, really be in the felt sense of the body. It's the body that holds the information. There's nothing that needs to be understood, or there's no storyteller needed. You just have the experience of being in the womb. And just discern yourself, you know, discern yourself and taste your mother's field all around you. And then contrast, you know, me from her. So that you know the difference between the vibration of me and the vibration of her. So you've got emotional energy coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just allow that sadness. Just feel the sadness and allow it to express and claim it, you know, own it, and notice where it is and how it inhabits you. So you're in the womb, and your response to being in the womb has got sadness in it. And you want to stay aware of mother's field And your mum is, while you're in the womb, she's doing life, and whatever's going on for her is affecting you. You're sensing it. So we get very entangled in the womb with mum, who we need her to survive. And there's often a lack of discernment because the womb is a very oneness experience in physicality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I want to let go of my individuality.
You want to merge into the oneness. Okay, so do that.
With or just let my mother lead.
Oh, okay.
Do what my mother, I don't know, not be maybe, I don't know.
Okay, so, when you felt your mother leave, my sense is that you're engaging mentally.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's what's happening. So just notice that if that feels true for you. Like the sense of I in relation to the being in the womb, in my mother's womb, and what I think about it is now influencing and engaging in this experience. So what's required here is not that you're doing it wrong, it's just that you need to notice that, the sense of I. So, whatever arises, even if a thought comes, can I remain grounded in the vibration of my experience and let that change and show me? So just feel where you are. Just feel into your body and feel what's there for you right now. Because we might be going on a side trip. And that's the way with the soul. We don't know that we don't go straight. We go where it's whatever's arising. And you see, when you're doing these journeys, gatekeepers show up, all, characters that have stories and positions. And we can't bypass them. We have to meet them. We have to say hello. So what is happening, Marianne, in your current experience?
Now my belly feels, it has more of a fire in it.
Okay, that's nice. So let's just stay in the fire. And does the position you're in feel appropriate for you, or do you, yeah, okay. So feeling yourself in that position, do you feel that you're still in a womb experience, or are you just sitting how you're sitting?
I'm still in the womb.
Okay, great. So just be in the womb, be the fetus, and feel the fire in your belly. And what's valuable here is, these traumas are pre-verbal and pre-conscious and all of that. But the sense of I is, it's like a sponge. So everything that happens to mom, every emotion that she has, every drama that she has, everything that's going on for her is taken in, because the fetus is trying to understand the world that it's going to birth into. It is part of a survival instinct. So you might have this contrast of the sort of oceanic oneness, but you've also got this part of you, that's aware, and feel it now, of the field surrounding you, which is revealed in the presence of your mother's energy. So what I feel also is kind of a lump in the throat, like an emotion. I feel tension in the eyes. For me, the strongest thing is the tension in the eyes. How are you experiencing it from your end?
Yeah, I mean, the tension in the eyes is because I keep trying to figure it out, and answer your questions, and
Okay.
Do a kind of like compare how I am experiencing my mother field, and I can't do that because it's kind of like I feel like it's all I know.
Okay, so what's happening is at a fundamental level, what's being revealed here from what you say, and tell me if I'm getting it, is that listening to my instructions is engaging you in, an extra process to respond to my instructions. Is that right?
Thank you.
Is that correct? So, and there's something engaging in understanding what I'm saying and wanting to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we need to see. Feel, I should say.
Okay.
That's the trier, if you want to give it a name.
Yeah. It's like the intense focus eyesight.
Yeah, that's fine. That's what we wanted to, that's what's being revealed. And I want her to feel here and included and noticed. And she's living in the eyes, then she feels intense. I think it was with you in the group that we did this Knights of the Round Table. She's one of the knights. So, you have your way, but one thing that you could do is just notice how she inhabits. So what's challenging here is your interpretation. So what we're inviting is the exploration of feeling the part of you that is trying to understand, trying to do, trying to interpret, looking for meaning. We don't need the mind for that. We just want to feel that part.
Well, now I feel like it's sort of dropped from the front of my eyes through my nasal passages down my back of my throat.
Mm-hmm. Great. So let's make contact with her. Just keep feeling her like you don't know her and you're meeting her for the first time. And you're welcoming her with an attitude, welcoming her to the heart space. She's, clever and she's valuable and she looks out for you and she helps you navigate a crazy world. However you experience her. And it's a little bit like if you're in your heart space, if your whole field is your heart space, or if you need to go to your heart space, it's like you turn toward her. Instead of her operating the process, your heart turns toward her and says, I see you. Welcome. Come and sit at the table. Come and have tea. So in the turning toward her, there's a sensing of her in the field, on your face, in your eyes. She's entangled with seeing and understanding. She wants to know. She wants to do it right. So those are qualities, the quality of wanting to do it right or wanting to know. And as as I offer that, there's a felt sense, check into the felt sense of wanting to know, or wanting to know how to do it, or wanting to get a result. Good. So everything I say is secondary and doesn't need to remove you from the felt sense. So make the choice to just ground in and stay in the field. That's the primary. Notice what's happening in the energy. That's the primary. And notice, even as a felt sense, the part that's listening to me, trying to understand what to do from that. That's it. Feel that flavor of Marianne. So I realize you're in your, quest of exploration here, but do you feel stable?
Yes.
Great. So what is valuable as you're seeping in to the sense of I and the flavors of that Marianne that wants to know, and whatever other properties you find about her, learn about her. It's like she's become what we're curious about. She's like a gatekeeper, protector. And she does what she does because she loves you. She does what she does because that's how she's learned to be. And what we're doing in a kind of shamanic way is we're acknowledging her, and we're honoring her for all that she does do. There's a beauty in there, and we want to find that essence. So as you, again, keep anchoring into the felt sense, because that's what's going to show you. You're in the whole field of you. You're aware of your eyes and your face. the back of the neck, the torso, the arms, the legs, the whole bubble. And I want to invite you to not leave whatever you're in, but rather to notice the stillness that's also here, in contrast to everything. Without rising up to look, rather sinking back in, allowing stillness to show itself to you, because you're here, because you're curious, because you're sincere, because you're willing to learn and change. And this is like letting that sense of I meet God or meet divinity. And just contrasting, where is stillness as you engage with stillness? Letting stillness show itself. We're now doing polarity work basically, but it doesn't matter. Just contrast the stillness to that sense of I. To the tension in the eyes. And know the difference between stillness and that sense of I. And notice, where they are in relation to each other. Which part of your field does the Marianne, intensity, Noah, all of that? The helper, where does she inhabit and what's her flavor? And in contrast, where is stillness in relation to that?
This feels like it's in my heart, my esophagus.
Great, great. So, it's a practice, but as you feel the wholeness of you with all the parts that are there and where they are in relation to each other, you can kind of bring more focus to stillness without losing the other parts. This is so valuable because I call it cohabiting. It's like when there's no preference, there's no part of you trying to exclude or get anywhere. That reality is unconditional love, and cohabiting is really just a metaphor for that. It's like it's all here, but at the moment I'm falling in love with stillness without excluding any other part of me, because I'm tracking the relationships between all the parts and the whole. So you're in this contrasting, I'm seeping into the stillness in my heart space, noticing how much space it occupies, and that's constantly changing. It's a dynamic exploration. And as I'm noticing stillness, I'm also noticing it in contrast to that sense of I, the intense one that lives in the eyes and the throat and the face. Like, she becomes more visible in the presence of divinity because she can trust love. So, you know, that there's a lot of head tension when I feel that, you know, like even in the bones, like the cheekbones, the eye sockets, sadness in the throat. Noticing that, then going back to the stillness, letting them cohabit, like letting them make friends and get to know each other. And to a large extent, if you ground in and you have a good alignment, you're not doing this, you're just allowing. You're just allowing everybody to be at the party. You're just seeping back. You're just open to whatever is going on. But you're also curious. So, you know, this is the kind of meditation that could go on for several hours because there's a lot of information in here. How are you experiencing your field at the moment? What are you noticing?
Another entity came up, which was, I can't do this. It's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
I give up.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. So this is a practice, and so the you know, you're going into through a doorway that you don't normally inhabit. You know, it's like a room that's been excluded. And so whatever's in that room doesn't want to be seen. And it's interesting that the whole origin of this conversation was about being seen in social situations. Yeah. So, you know, there's all these protectors that operate you in social situations, and they're entangled with, you know, the social situation. And there's levels and layers, and we've also been in the womb, you know, so probably some Italianness in here as well, how I need to be in social situations. And so as we get closer to that information, the parts of you that don't know, because the knower was part of this, the one who wanted to know, comes up and says, I can't do this. And it's true, she can't. She can't. So all we can do is welcome her, the one that says, I can't do this. I can't do this. Like she believes that she can't do that. Well, because she doesn't know how. And so there is this invitation to surrender, you know, to give up. You know, the part that's trying and doing and wanting to know and all of that, there's an invitation for that one to give up. And it's not a process, it's a natural outcome. It's a natural alchemical response of inclusion, unconditional love, that all these parts are serving you and have been required to help you navigate a crazy world. And right now you're recalibrating how you navigate a crazy world by showing up in a different way. And so there's a whole recalibration that's happening. Partly because you're sincere about your quest. Just give it up to the divinity. Like, I don't know how to do this. It's true. So can you feel that? Can you feel what it feels like to not know how to do it? Can you find that little seed, that place that doesn't know anything? It's already here.
What's nice is that it's okay to not know. I mean,
Yeah.
I always, that personality usually says it's not okay to not know.
Yeah. So
when it's okay to not know, it's
yeah.
it's very expansive. It's very much like, so relax then, kind of like.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a beautiful polarity process for everyone. Is the polarity between, the knowing and the not knowing. And both of them have a different, they have a different vibe, and you can contrast the vibration of, the knower and the knowing.
Your volume is down.
And the not knowing. Oh, sorry. I'll get a little closer.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. So, the not knowing is a very profound contrast to how your setup is, because it's set up with a strength of, head. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Strength is finding out, right? Pushing through.
Yeah.
Making something work.
Yes. And you could feel that, in this process that can't work and I need to give up, So, those are all notions that come from being in the experience. But you don't have to be defeated by, how the words manifest.
Okay.
I need to give up. You need to feel what it feels like, this giving up, not knowing. Yeah. So when we go to the head with it, it's like there's nothing we can do there. It's like, oh, this doesn't work. Let's go try something else. But that's defeat. The head is always going to defeat you because it doesn't know. And if you need to know and you hang up there, you're just never going to get anywhere. But, so you have to explore this relationship between, who is this knower? What is she doing? What does she feel like? Where does she live? She feels tense.
Just trying.
Yeah, they might not, I'm in this social dynamic. They might not like me. I might not be safe. I might not be included. They might exclude me. It's like she's engaged in all of that, kind of positions, unsafe, unloved, and not belonging. They're probably all in there. Yes. In relation to the social thing,
I feel a lot of pressure to get it right, because if I don't get it right, I will be rejected. The door will slam. So I'm trying really hard, and it's a situation that is very tense, very intense.
Right. And, the rejection is within us. We project it out. So if you resolve it inside, your social thing is going to be different. In fact, last time I remember having a conversation with you, I can't remember if it was in a group, we talked about the next thing for you was the social. So, it's all coming together beautifully. So the I that's going to be rejected, the Marianne that's afraid of being rejected, can you sense her? I need to do it right or I'll be rejected. I need to be perfect or they won't, they'll reject me. So notice her signature, like she has a unique note. And it's in the sense of I. Oh, good. So she's the one that has been abandoned, you know, she's trying to operate things so that she doesn't get rejected, but she's operating it, but you're not in her. You're no, she's excluded somehow. So she keeps operating. But if you include her, if you notice her, if you turn the eyes of love toward her, if you feel her note and get to know her directly, what does she feel like? Where does she live inside your field?
Feel her in my jaw a lot, trying.
Yeah. So it's this head tension.
Jaw.
Yeah.
And then my gut reacts.
Yes, that's it. She's actually creating the whole dynamic and the gut is reacting. So it's a process. And so when you find this tension, because it's a lot, you want to take the time and feel the bubble and the wholeness and the inclusivity of space. And she inhabits that space and she's cohabiting. So just allow her to be. We've discovered her and it's very powerful that we have. And she's welcome here and she's your teacher. And you're here to get to know her. And you want to know her by touching her vibe. You want to know her by not knowing. Yeah, so there's this kind of like in the not knowing, curiosity is birthed. In the knowing, it's like there's nowhere to go. In the not knowing, it's like, well, what is she really like? This is not a mental thing. What does she feel like? What's it like to be her? Have the experience.
She's very busy.
Yeah. So, you know, that could be another eye judging her, but it doesn't have to be. You could feel what it feels like to be.
Yeah, I'm just noticing her, how she functions.
Yeah, the busyness. Yeah.
She's just busy.
Great.
But she's not me. She's in my field.
She's not the real you, but she's a helper and she's a gatekeeper and she's a protector. Mm-hmm. She was birthed because of necessity, because love wasn't present. We're reversing that by making love present to her.
Got it. It's nice.
It is. It's beautiful. That's all she's ever wanted, was to be loved, and she's been trying so hard to be, you know, loved and accepted and be safe and all of that in social dynamics, to the point she couldn't make it work, so she stopped being social, perhaps.
Came up and shut the door and hid.
Yeah, that doesn't work. I can't do that. So, you know, I've tried everything. But what we're doing now is just letting love meet her, letting her meet love. And so stillness is the love, you know, stillness is the divinity. So, you know, we started out with reflection. It's actually a beautiful session for the group. You know, I'm aware that this is not like a proper session, you know, they're always a little bit training and group oriented and so on. But, you know, there's incredible pieces in here that you can go back to. And, you know, for the value to the group, it's like we started out with reflection technique. We started out with the bellyache, and then we found we brought into the field the vibration that was external to you. So if you had just kept doing sovereignty, you would not be looking at the relationship to the outside world. And that's important. So that's for you, you know, that's special for you, because sovereignty is valuable, but you don't have all the pieces, because you know, you need to know, what is it I'm reacting to? So that was good. And then we went into polarity. you know. So there was a beautiful polarity exploration that kind of got derailed and took us into a different direction. But you can go back to your womb experience, and just without Leonora's voice pulling you back and forward, you can just feel the difference between, so polarity is always contrasting this and that, you know, the field of your mum surrounding you and the field of the me, the little fetus me inside the womb. And you can just keep doing that. And then you can find the meeting point, which would be, you know, where the skin of your little fetus body meets your mother. And that's a huge, you know, you can spend hours, days, weeks, months, however, on what will come out of that exploration. And it's incredibly valuable, because those womb experiences are the things that really shape us. That is, you know, how we learn about the world and how to show up in the world. And, you know, your dynamic has deep roots. Your dynamic, how to be in the world, is deep roots, and it's related to your mum and your womb experience. And then we got into identity work, which we haven't even talked about for the new people in the group, which is, you know, if you're fully engaged in just noticing what's in the field, what you don't notice is who's looking. And who's looking, your identity is so entangled with your observer, like everybody, you know, and so you're not seeing clearly. You're seeing this thing in the stomach, but you're also creating it unconsciously. So when we're disentangling these identities, what we're doing is we're teasing apart the flavor of pure awareness and the identity that's entangled with that observer. So the sense of I can't, the sense of I've got to do it right, the sense of, you know, I'll be rejected, all those identities, they're waiting to be loved. And that's the other end of the string. You have the experiencer and the experience. And so your most valuable way to work, if you have the capacity to do so, is to notice the I. And it's a big project. It can take some time. So don't look for results, just explore.
Okay.
And it lives very much around your eyes, but there's a lot, it holds that part that's looking, you know, the different wanting to knows and all of those pieces. There was tension in the bones. You know, the bones are often ancient imprints. So, you know, I can feel that in the jaw and in the cheekbones and the eye sockets, you know. So
It's far out.
far out, you know, and it's really, I don't know, you know, if you get into your head about it, it just seems like overwhelming and too much and too hard, you know. So don't get in your head. That's the headache, that's the migraines, that's the, you know, the trier and the intensity about how to live life. Yeah, and what you're learning is a different way and a different resource, and it takes time. You can't bypass anything. You know, love doesn't bypass anything. Love doesn't have time. Love doesn't have an agenda. And so love is just here now. What's here now? What's here now? What's here now? And it's actually the fastest track. It's just what's here now. As soon as you go up to the head, you're entangled in it again, you know. So it's a practice, and the good news is it gets easier, you know. Love will destroy you, the false you. And as long as you keep fighting with love, you know, it creates more and more suffering. And, you know, what is so weird is the suffering is important. You know, like trying to take somebody's suffering away from them is a bad thing to do. You know, they need to have their suffering because it's the greatest teacher. You know, like you had that experience. It's like, I can't do this. I got to give up. That's it. You get a suffering until you go, I got to give up. And the giving up is part of the awakening.
Wow.
You know, I was having coffee with actually spiced chai, not coffee yesterday, with a friend. And he was telling me about his awakening experience. And it's the same hallmark, is the giving up. You know, so in our work, it's like, instead of like perhaps one big cataclysmic awakening experience and poof, I'm done, which is some illusion that people out there have. There's this series of little awakenings that your system, you keep recalibrating your sovereignty in your system so that you become more love, more powerful as love, to hold all that pain and suffering, but not to become the pain and suffering, not to become the identity about it, but to, you know, as you keep doing identity work, your sense of self becomes I'm love, you know, becomes presence itself, and disentangles all those pieces. And that's an ongoing spiraling process that I'm still engaged in, you know.
So the feeling before I said, I feel like I can't do it, I want to give up, was like, I'm going to fail, and I'm going to be a failure.
Yeah.
And there's no pain in that moment. But then when you said explore what it feels like to give up, it felt so good.
Yeah.
It felt so much better. And in the past, what I would have done was thought about creating maybe another identity.
Yeah.
To deal with my other than the other one. But that's pointless, you know. The identity is like the problem, kind of.
Yeah. Mostly, if we're unconscious, we don't realize we're doing that. We're constantly writing programs to try and make it work.
Create another program, right?
And there are levels and layers. And so as we, you know, move into heart-centered sovereignty, and particularly when you brought stillness in, it illuminated a lot more information. And when you bring stillness in, it gives you a place to land. It gives you home. It gives you what you're looking for.
Right.
And it illuminates what's not you.
Your volume is down again. I don't know what's going on, but
I don't know. I could plug my earphones in. That always helps. Yeah, so you can hear me good now?
really good, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, that's the power of stillness, is, you know, this, it is where we're going, you know, it is who we are at the deepest level, at the fundamental unchanging level. We are divine. And so when we bring, you know, I don't always use the word God, but I know that that's okay for you. But when we bring God into the experience, yeah, it's like letting God be present with what's here. That's what heals it. You know, it gives you a place to land. It gives you a place to go. You don't have to create another I. You can let love, or God is love, see, and you can discern, oh, wow, this is God, and this is the different I's. So this is the inquiry is really important. You know, like just meditating. I often work with people who've been meditating for years, and they are so split from their field because they're never looking at who's the meditator. You know, they just find cloud nine and they hang out on cloud nine, and it's a bypass, you know, from what's really happening, you know. And I did that. I was, you know, did Buddhist practice for about 15 years. It didn't work for me. I had a lot of pain, which is why I left that and started exploring trauma and other things. But yeah, as soon as you get to a place where the giving up becomes an option, or becomes like the only place to go because it's not working, it's like, you know, there's this habit of not giving up, like what you're saying, of, you know, finding a way, you know, like engaging the mind, that will add to your migraine. That'll add to the tension in your head. Versus this, like, what would it be if I just gave up? What would it be if I didn't know? What would it be like if I didn't even need to know? And then cultivate that as a state of consciousness. So we had this, I think there's a meditation somewhere about cultivating states of consciousness. And I usually use openness because it's an easy and it's a good place to start. But you can use not knowing as a state of consciousness. What is the state of consciousness of that innocent not knowing, not needing to know? What does it feel like there? And as you cultivate that as a quality of presence, it adds to the power of your sovereignty, and it adds to the power of your discernment in noticing when that isn't there, when the contrast to that is there, which is the one who wants to know. And all the characters that you have are built on top of the one that wants to know, because that was the, you know, not safe, not loved.
Yeah.
Foundations. Yeah. So every character has a need to know within it, so that, you know, knowing, you know, maybe I do a special meditation at some point on knowing, or maybe I've done one already, but the knower is a very, very profound practice that you can work with for a long time. And I think it's a valuable one for you. And it you know, with the polarity work that we're doing, I would work with it in polarity and see the possibility of not knowing versus all the knowers that, you know, run your head. Yeah. So this was a very rich session, and it has lots of rabbit holes to go down. Yeah. And so you can listen again and again and go, okay, I'll go down that rabbit hole, or I'm going to explore that way. Or, you know, I invite you, because you haven't used reflection technique, just to stabilize the value of that, knowing what it is that you're reacting to is very important.
So in the beginning, when I felt the world all the way around me, was that the thing that I was reflecting?
Yeah, it's big. You know, like for you, you couldn't separate it and go, it's in this little bubble, you know, called those who look at me, or those who are, you know, out there social. It was like, man, this thing surrounds me. Yeah. And so interesting. I used to do birth traumas and womb traumas, and you know, that is often to do with the womb experience. And I didn't say anything to you, but you went there, and when you said I'm in the womb, I got yes. Yeah. So that's a beautiful exploration between what's triggering you is whatever was happening with your mom, whatever was in her vibe, which was shaping you. Yeah. In how to be in the world. You learned from being in the womb. A lot of what you learned, you came with before you were even born. So there's the ancestral links, you know, that we come with. And you can only do that in the felt sense. You didn't even have words. Yeah. So trying to make sense of the world when you're born and you start getting language is, you know, going up there, because you don't have the capacity. Like, your mum wasn't in a loving presence state when you were in the womb. I don't know what state she was in, but you know, 99.9% of the population isn't in a loving presence state at any time. So you know, it's like, not to get overwhelmed by that, but just to be in this, like, you know, spaceship Marianne, exploring the esoteric here. Who am I? And what's shaped me and what happened to me is like, wow, it's all in your field. And this is a big one for you because it's surrounding you, you know, and it's a lot to do with your core issue, you know. And I feel you birthing, you know, like it's so interesting. I feel you birthing. It's like you're doing your intermittent fasting and, you know, whatever you do with your diet, and you've really come alive in the few months that I've known you, the shift is quite inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're ready for this is what you know you're ready for. And we'll try and drip feed you the right techniques so that you can play. So, you know, you haven't, if you want to flick through you can do searches in Facebook in the group if you want to like watch some of the videos about identity.
Okay.
Or, you know, things like that, you know, feel free to go and explore those because you're already in it, you know, you're already doing that. And then there's more, you know, like there's a danger in giving you too much information because you can't integrate. So it's like you need to have a balance of playing with your reflection technique so that you really get, you know, that the factor that's triggering you, the one that's looking, and the experience in the belly are all in a relativistic situation. Yeah, you need to get that experientially, not just because you learned it from listening to a video. You need to get that inside yourself.
Yeah, I don't get it right now.
Yeah.
I'm too identified, you know, it's too much.
Yeah, so you need to get that, and you just get that by practicing it. It's like you could say, you know, what's some social event that you're engaged in, whether it's, I don't know if you guys are on lockdown still, or whether it's on Zoom or any other way, you know.
Yeah, pretty.
I remember one of the early sessions that we had when we did our group of sessions, that something came up about, you know, what you were wearing and how you looked was really important. Whereas I don't feel that in you anymore. It's already changed, you know. So that was part of what we're still working with. You know, you can see that you've gone into a deeper layer of it. Yeah. So trying to look right to get accepted, or trying to, you know, fit in, or, you know, all of that. And that can ease off as you keep doing this. So yeah, so you need to integrate, you need to just do the practices and integrate the method so that your mind isn't engaged in the method, you're just feeling. Yeah, and you're already doing great there. It's just now, you know, just adding this, what is it outside? So like, for example, if you've got some social engagement coming up, you just stick that social engagement in a little bubble. Where do you feel that bubble?
Okay.
Maybe it surrounds you, or maybe it's, you know, it's coming up, it's in front of me, you know, tomorrow. And then you feel, when you tap into that engagement, you know, that's coming up, how does it feel inside me? Oh, I feel nervous. Where do I feel? Yeah. So all you've done is added the thing. You've just added the thing that you're reacting to. And what happens is, and you'll see this from some of the other reflection techniques that I've done with others, is that as you become one in yourself, this thing gets closer and closer, and eventually it becomes you. So you're not separate from the thing. So, you know, we're always looking at locations. You know, I have the thing in my belly, I have the thing in my eyes. What's between my eyes and my belly is where all the unconscious information is. What's in my eyes, what's in my belly. You know, we're always looking at like a GPS of your field. And discerning those differences, the belly, the eyes, you know, oh, now we've got the jaw, and now we've got sadness in the throat. Yeah, sadness is a huge doorway. So as I say, there's lots of rabbit holes coming up. Go slow, and just, you'll know, you know, what I like about the way that we are working here is that instead of being on this big project to get to an endpoint called fully healed and fully awake and fully happy, what we're doing is we're living life, and life is showing us, in the moment of life, it's showing us what's necessary. So you're not on this big task to get to perfection. You're in your life, and you're exploring it as you live it. And that's the journey of discovery. And it's, you don't have to change to be on that journey. You just have to be on that journey. You don't have to wait to be okay to go and engage in life. You're in life.
It's acknowledging that. And you're in whatever you're in, and you're exploring whatever you're in. And as you explore it, you find new pathways, and, you know, traumas disappear, and your essence comes through, you know, and all of that. So. Okay. This is me without coffee. You should see me with coffee. Okay, so how are you doing?
Good.
Do you feel like you've got things that you can work with?
A ton. I mean, I have to
Yeah.
rewatch.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's the main thing, is like to have, you know, a little diagnosis time and a little, you know, what's happening and how is your system doing it and what's the right thing for you to work on. Knowing and not knowing, that's a good one.
Okay.
Okay, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lenora.
See you soon.